Hare Ganga Mahadev Sri Shankara Parvati Pati Mahadev Sri Shankara.
Namaste, it's Sahara Rose, and welcome back to the Highest Self podcast, a place where we discuss what makes you your soul's highest evolvement. I am so excited to share with you today's episode because it is a topic that has been near and dear to my heart for about 5 years now, that it's really been an integral part of my life, and that is working with the goddesses. So a little background of how the goddesses came into my life. So when I was 23 years old, I had just lived in Bali for half of that year. I had been living in India for, on and off for 2 years before that, really on this spiritual journey of finding myself and breaking free from parental conditioning and social norms and what I was supposed to do and figuring out what it is that I wanted to do. I was in the most formative time of my life when I truly discovered and embodied my dharma, my soul's purpose. And a friend of mine that I had met in Bali on a 5 Elements dance teacher training that I had done, she said, well, why don't we do a retreat together? I was like, I've never done a retreat in my life. I'm 23. I've never even been on a retreat, let alone hosted a retreat. She's like, no, I think you'd be really good at it. Like, we'll host it together. I've hosted yoga retreats before. I was like, anything to get me back to India, I'll do. So I set on this journey to co-teach this retreat with her. And we decided to call it the Goa Goddess Retreat. And happened to be that she had been working with the goddesses, and we decided, well, what if we did each day honoring a different goddess? And the stuff I had heard of, living in India, you see a lot of temples, you go to a lot of pujas, but I wasn't very familiar with them. I would just, go to the Krishna ballet and listen to the stories, but they weren't a big part of my life. So being on this retreat, not only as a teacher, but hearing about the goddesses and learning their stories resonated with me in such a deep way. And the goddess that really stuck out to me was Saraswati. So Saraswati, I've spoken about on this podcast numerous times before, but she is the goddess of wisdom, creativity, arts, music, knowledge, intuition, all things creative. She is the channel of creativity, bringing it down to earth. And when I started to learn about her, I just felt such a resonance. One, our names are super similar, Saraswati, Sahara. Two, just her essence of, I'm just here to create in any form, I could so resonate with. My whole life, I've always been an artist in some kind of way, whether I was painting or dancing or graphic designing. At a certain point, I was doing websites for income, like anything that I could be creating, I would do, and I would figure out a way to thrive in. So I so resonated with her and just wanting to be on this planet to just create. I felt like that's just my purpose here, just to create. And then I learned about some of the other goddesses who I did not resonate with as much. And those goddesses were Durga and Kali. And when I heard about Durga, I felt like, oh, she's so aggressive. So she's this warrior goddess who's riding a tiger, and she has, a big sword in her hands, and she's slaying demons, and she's so fierce. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound like me. I don't really want to be like that. And in fact, I had friends, even the girl I was teaching the retreat with was very Durga, and that was really intense energy for me. So Durga was not my thing. And Kali was this, woman with blue skin and wild hair and her tongue sticking out. And she's holding all of these dead man's heads that she had beheaded in her head, bloody. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't resonate with me either. So I felt like you were some goddesses and not other goddesses. But later on in that year, my whole life came crashing down. I had to move back home with my family, who was really against my entire path and journey. And I had to go through a massive reawakening and a death of who I was up till that point, to be born again and reclaim my sovereignty. And that's when Durga and Kali came out. And I didn't know this at the time, but the Kali came out to slay all illusion. So Kali is the goddess of transformation as well as destruction. She comes with her fire and she will burn down the house because that house didn't belong to you. That house wasn't meant to serve you. She is the breakup. She is the rug being swept under your feet, leaving you unsure of where to step next. She is the catastrophe. She is the tragedy. She is the rejection that leads to the redirection. That is Kali Ma right there. So Kali has really come forth, especially I've noticed in the past couple years in more mainstream society, and people are so attracted to her fierce and wild and I don't give a fuck attitude. And when you're resistant to it, she will come and find a way to you so you can learn to embrace that side of you. So I hadn't yet embraced the side of me that was capable of dealing with massive uncertainty, fights, coming head to head with the people that I respected the most, my family, and knowing that they weren't right. That was Kali coming through because I needed that clearing. And from that clearing, I was able to decide, what do I really want moving forward? Who am I outside of my family's expectations? And in that quest of learning about myself and really letting go of my need for approval that had been driving me my entire life and has been driving most of us because we're taught to get an A and a gold star and make our family happy and to be dead in their eyes and have no contact with them, allowed me to see, well, who am I outside of the person who pleases others? And that's what led me to really owning the fact that I wanted to write a book on Ayurveda, though I had never met an author, never had a book deal, didn't know anything about the book writing process. It all felt really overwhelming and scary to me, and I had no idea how I would ever make money doing it. But I was able to own that that's what I wanted. And from that, I set a goal for myself that I would write a book about Ayurveda that would modernize it and share it with as many people as I could. And this book would be on the shelves of Barnes & Nobles. Sounded crazy at that time. Literally, people thought my parents wanted to send me to a mental asylum. And that's when Durga came through. That's when the fierce energy of, I'm going to stick to my goals. And I don't care if you're laughing at my face. I don't care if no one believes in me, because I believe in me right now. And I am courageous. I am strong. I am powerful. And I'm going to make this shit happen. And you can just sit and watch. Thank you. That was the Durga coming through. And that energy that I was resisting, that energy that I felt like was aggressive, masculine, intense, I want nothing to do with that. People who are like that are, never going to get married. All of these ideas that were put into my head by society. Don't be too loud. Don't be too much. Don't be too aggressive. I fucking owned that shit. I was like, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to do what I want. And if you don't like it, suck it. That's actually what started to come through. And I was not like that to that point. I was like that as a kid, but, especially in my high school, college years where you're so trying to fit into the box more than anything, I had let go of that side of me. So I stepped into my Durga through my Kali, and I was able to write this book, start this podcast, be here to the point that you're listening to me. And that created the container for me to be my Saraswati. That allowed me the routine, the stability, the finances, the security, things that I was like, I don't know how that's going to happen. By stepping into the goddesses that felt less familiar to me, that felt less like at home to me, I was able to step further into who I truly am, which is the creatrix Saraswati. But I also am a Durga. I also am a warrioress. I also am Kali and also a wild woman. We are all of the goddesses. So that's really what I have been diving into and why I created Rose Gold Goddesses, my online membership community, which is just going to be opening doors this September. And I'll be telling you more about that at the end of the episode, so stay tuned to that. But I want to share with you what happened when I owned my Saraswati. So when I owned my Saraswati and had built the foundation of structure, of income sources, of business, of things that felt masculine to me, like owned that and claimed that and dove into that world, Lakshmi came through. So Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance, of wealth, of luck, of fertility. No, I'm not pregnant, guys. But I was able to figure out not only how to be a creative and survive, but thrive. Because you see, I had the story in my head, and tell me if you've ever had the story in your head too, that you can either make money or do what you love. But making money doing what you love is like, you might as well win American Idol. I thought that I had to, when I was in that Kali stage, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sacrifice giving up having ever a home or stable life, or maybe even living in the US. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford it in this lifetime, so I can do what I love. I'll just live in a hut and write, and that'll be enough. I got to that point that I did not need any material possessions to move forward. And I literally didn't have any. I was staying in a $3 a night hut in India where, if I tell you the story, guys, like, let's just say one day I noticed that my underwear was always in different parts of the hut. And this is a straight up hut, guys. I'm not being like sarcastic. I lived in a straight up hut with a padlock on it. Notice my underwear would be like halfway through the wall, like under the ground, like weird places. So one night I woke up and I look up above my mosquito net, which was like a disgusting mosquito net, by the way. And there was this massive rat on top of my mosquito net that was trying to get off and was inches away from my face. I was at that level of place, and it was all I could afford. $3 a night. Okay, I'm making like $200 a month. Like, this is how I'm going to survive being a creative. But it didn't stay that way. Because when I truly stepped into, okay, I'm going to create a living off of this. I'm going to thrive off of this through my Durga, and I'm going to be so true to my message through my Saraswati, and I'm not going to give a shit what other people think. Through my Kali, Lakshmi came through. And Lakshmi started to bless me with a book deal, which led to another book deal, which led to me actually figuring out how these online businesses and stuff work. Because the first online program I ever put up did not make money, guys. Like, we think it's just this like straight up trajectory line that like, oh, then you make it and that's it. And it's like, no, there's a lot of wobbles. But finally, I started to realize that I can have the kind of life that I want to live and still do what I love. And then eventually realize that I can have a life beyond what I ever imagined for myself and still do what I love in a way that I never have before. I never thought I would have this podcast ever. I thought, I would be alone like a crazy writer girl. And the more and more I stepped into my Dharma, and the more I started working with these goddess archetypes, the more I stepped into who I truly am. So working with a goddess is not just one goddess, but the goddesses are all connected and they all flow. And really, they're all just archetypes of you and who you are. Because we are all wild, we are all fierce, we are all sensual, we are all meditative, we are all creative, we are all of the things. But when we're able to work with that framework of, okay, today is me really stepping into my Durga, I'm going to be doing my emails and my funnel and my this and that. And when you can call in that energy, you can move so much farther forward. So most of us, we're just living lives without intention. Intention, sankalpa, is crucial in the Vedas, because if you don't have intention, you'll end up in no direction. Another quotable right there. So the goddesses give us direction. They allow us to call forth. I'm really stepping into divine partnership, calling forth Radha. I'm stepping into honoring my sensuality and feeling my orgasmic energy, calling in Lalita Sundari. And these are just the Vedic, Hindu, Indian goddesses, guys. There are many goddesses out there. Every society in the planet has had goddesses prior to patriarchal religion. So we could look at Athena and Aphrodite and all of these beautiful Greek goddesses. We can look at Yamaya and Oshun and the Oriba goddesses from Africa who later moved to Brazil. We can look at Isis and all of the Egyptian goddesses. We can look at Kuan Yin and the Chinese goddesses, Buddhist goddesses, the green Tara, the white Tara. Every civilization had goddesses. And the beautiful thing is when you really look at these goddesses, you see that the archetypal energy is universal. That these goddesses, every society has the mother, has the sensual one, has the fierce one. We have these archetypes because they're universal in mankind, womankind. But they add in their own cultural flair to it, For example, the Vedic goddesses really focused on meditation, spirituality, transcendence. Why? Well, Vedas is the world's oldest text of knowledge. It's very spiritual lineage. So, of course, the goddesses are going to be meditating and balancing their chakras because that's part of the culture. Whereas the Oriba goddesses in Africa are very based off of agriculture, off of the earth, off of the land, the rivers, the fresh waters. Why? Because fresh water gave you life. The woman, her body is a tree. Why? Because the tree is life. If we look at the Tara, it's all about compassion, compassionate wisdom, compassionate love. Why? Because that's what Buddhism is about. If we look at Isis, it's all about magic and serpentine energy and astrology. Why? Because Egypt was the first place that really owned serpentine astrological magic as part of their culture. So we can learn about these goddesses and see ourselves in all of them, and also learn about what was needed at that time and why that was coming through. And different goddesses are going to come through you in different times of your life to lead you on your journey. So guys, as you can tell, I can talk about goddesses all day. It's work I'm very, very passionate about. And that's why I decided to create my first ever and only private membership community called Rose Gold Goddesses. So I thought of this idea months ago because I realized that there were so many people listening to this podcast that have such incredible insight, such powerful messages, but also such real questions. Every single day I'm DM'd by so many people who want to know about past lives and chakras and all of these different things, how to balance their doshas, etc. And I was like, I wish I could just put you guys all together in one massive DM to talk to each other, because you're all going through the same things and have the same problems and the same insights and inspirations and worries and all of the things. So I was thinking, how am I going to get you guys all together to support each other, inspire each other, uplift each other, and have these super important conversations together while working with the goddess and sharing the wisdom that I've learned throughout the years, connecting to these different goddess archetypes, rituals, magic, mantras, music playlists, hosting live events so we can meet in person, live dance events, rituals, goddess circles, hikes, picnics, and empower you guys to have your own events in your cities, whether it's at a vegan restaurant or going to a music festival or a yoga class together. How can I create this incredible community? Because that's what we really need in this day and age, right? We need community. We need people who have our back. We need people that we can talk about the important conversations with, because we are so lonely. All of us, though we might not recognize it, are lonely because as a society, we are spending significantly less time with other people than we ever have before. And I'm thinking, you may be around people, but you're not actually spending quality time with them. Being on a train where everyone's looking at their phone at the same time is not quality time. Or even hanging around like a bunch of family members, but everyone's watching TV or playing a game. That's not the quality time that I'm talking about. And it's hard. It is hard to find friends who are like-minded, who want to talk about all the things, who want to talk about Ayurveda and spiritual healing and past lives and Reiki and aliens and Buddha and crystals and all of the things, the spiritual soulies that you've been calling in. And that's when I downloaded the idea to create Rose Gold Goddesses. So Rose Gold Goddesses is the first ever true membership community for spiritual women like you and I who are all about the woo, all about the magic, all about the Ayurveda, the holistic healing, the shamanism, to connect with our own app that has location services. So you can see who's near you in the community and actually meet up with them in person to take the connection offline and into real life. We also have forums on everything you want to discuss, from moon cycles and menstrual healing to entrepreneurship, linking up with people. Maybe you want to do a retreat, but you don't know who to do it with or where to go. Maybe you're looking for a graphic designer. Maybe you need some inspiration to get your business started. Or maybe you're just looking for your purpose and you want to know your big reason why. Maybe you're tapping into your clairvoyant abilities. Maybe you just want to talk about some herbs to heal with your PCOS. All of that is available to you because these forums are custom created on the types of conversations that I love talking about, that we talk about on this podcast. And I know that you're going to want to be part of it as well. We also have a forum that's dedicated to this podcast, so you can dive in and discuss episodes we've had on this podcast. Like, oh, I just listened to that episode about past lives. Like, has anyone done past life regression? What was your experience? Where did you go? And full on have a conversation. And Facebook groups don't do that. Facebook is freaking overwhelming. I personally downloaded something called Newsfeed Eradicator, so I don't even have a Facebook newsfeed. Going on there stresses me out. And in these Facebook groups, like, it's just a bunch of people yelling over each other. The same people just keep posting, and 99% of people are not. And it's not real community. Like, we can try, but it's not real community, if we're being honest. It needs to be people who want to be there. It needs to be off of a social media platform that's so distracting. It needs to be somewhere that is sacred. And that's what Rose Gold Goddesses is. You will see that it is such a sacred environment that we've created on this app with goddess guides that will be connecting with you, leading you through discussions, etc. Monthly goddess circles hosted by me. So if you loved the tidbits of what I shared, you're going to love diving into this every single month as part of Rose Gold Goddesses, because we're going to be working with a new goddess each month. So October, when we're getting started, we are starting with Saraswati. We're going to be diving into our creativity. What makes us our most creative selves? What do we do when we're creatively blocked? How can we tap into our creative source? We're going to be learning about, evoking that goddess, the mantras I personally use every time I'm writing to evoke Saraswati, playlists, mudras, all of the things. And again, learning from each other as well as experts. I'm going to be bringing surprise expert guests, many of which you've heard on this podcast, to dive deeper into these conversations. For example, Heather of Activation Vibration and I just did an epic one on her experience with Kali and shadow work, as well as Isis and sex magic. Cassandra, who I did my wedding episode with, she's going to be doing one all about magic and using ritual, etc. Laura's going to be coming on doing one all about Vedic astrology. So these experts that you love hearing from are going to be accessible just to Rose Gold Goddesses members in these incredible conversations that you can be on live, asking questions, and really be part of a community. There's so much in Rose Gold Goddesses. Like, when I just think about it, I'm like, oh, this is everything that I was calling in when I was so hungry for a spiritual community. I've also created this entire Rose Gold Goddess framework. So that framework is a 9-part video series that teaches you step-by-step how to work with the goddess. What does it mean to work with the goddess? How you need to embrace duality. What are the different sides of the goddess? So the moment that you join, you'll be able to dive into this framework and get started on working with the goddess today. We have off-the-cuff conversations. So, I actually did this last week during one of the craziest times, because I'm launching this and I'm writing my book, and I was like, you know what? And I was at the DMV and I found out I couldn't get my ID back. I was like, I'm going to record what I'm going through right now and how I'm going to move through this. So if you feel like this podcast is candid, what I'm going to be doing in Rose Gold Goddesses is like to a whole other level, because it's our closed community and our sacred space of this is what I'm going through. This is how I'm leaning into my business, into my life, into my relationship, etc. Like super off the cuff, super honest, super uncurated, unedited, like real deal stuff, because that's what we want. That's what us women want. We want to feel the real. We're sick of the Instagram curated, picture perfect, analytics. Like, no, we want to know, like, how are you actually doing this all? Like, what is the process in your head? Like, how are you managing it? And that's what I'm going to be talking about. That's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about. That's what I want you guys to discuss too. Like, this is all about bringing the goddess to life, because we are all goddesses in human form. We are all here as humans to go through the human experience. We are not here to, experience no hardship, no lessons, no obstacles. The obstacles and hardships and lessons are how we grow. They're how we become divine. So ignoring them is not going to make them go away. It's just actually going to make them keep coming back. But when we can tap into this divine aspect of who we are, our truest selves, our highest selves, our inner goddesses, then life begins to flow. Things become easy. Everything falls into place. You no longer have to struggle. And this, to me, is the most important element of working with the goddess, because if you're anything like me, sometimes you can make life really hard. Sometimes you can overanalyze, overthink, overpressure yourself. Feel like, oh, well, I don't have everything I was supposed to have done by this age. I'm a failure. Anyone else? No, just me? But all of us, we put this immense pressure on ourselves. We come forth with such a masculine, hard energy. And we realize finally that life was not meant to be lived that way. And that we can actually have everything that we want. And I'm not just talking about money, though that's part of it. I'm not just talking about health. That's part of it. I'm not talking just about relationships. That's part of it. I'm talking about entire full body alignment. When all areas of your life, you're like, that is 100% true to who I am. Everything, every friendship you have, every decision you make, every moment that you spend your time is in the highest of alignment. And that is what working with the goddess teaches you. It teaches you that you have many sides, many masks, many iterations, and allows you to step into those sides, to notice where you are resisting, to notice how perhaps that resistance is actually the exact obstacle you need to overcome to get to the highest evolvement. There is so much here, guys. I'm beyond excited to share this community with you. So, where to start? It makes me emotional when I think about what this community is going to bring to us, because there's nothing more important than friendship. There's nothing more important than sisterhood. There's nothing more important than having a support team of people that when you're going through something, you know that they're there. That is something that you could spend millions on and still not find with the right people. It takes the right group of people with the right heart and the right intention to make that happen. And if you're listening to this, especially this deep in, you're one of those people. So that's why I even waited to the end to really get into it. So Rose Gold Goddesses, we are opening doors. We're starting with our 5-day challenge, which is absolutely free. That challenge starts September 1st. So if you're listening to this before September 1st, head over to rosegoldgoddesses.com. Rose Gold Goddesses, plural. The link is also in my show notes. You can sign up for the absolutely free 5-day Rose Gold Goddess Challenge. In this challenge for 5 days, we're tapping into 5 of the goddess archetypes: Durga, Kali, Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati. We're going to be diving into them. I'm going to be emailing you each day. I'm going to be doing a video each day. It's a little teaser, taste, and also option to get prizes such as a free happiness and meditation retreat, Loli Beauty Skincare, Four Sigmatic. Any sponsor you ever heard on this podcast, you'll be winning by doing this challenge. And instead of one person gets everything, I'm doing 14 different winners, because that's the way of the feminine. Everyone wins. And I mean, obviously, don't do it for the prizes, do it because you want to. But there's going to be prompts of you taking pictures and stepping into your creative side, your highest self side, your abundant side, your powerful side, your wild side. And then also I'll be providing you with graphics if you don't want to take a picture of yourself, quotes, affirmations, a song each day, so much good stuff. So head over to rosegoldgoddesses.com to join that challenge. Then after September 5th, I am opening doors. And I'm only going to be opening doors for about 10 days. That's it. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, one, if I'm launching for longer than that, I'm going to go crazy. Two, I want this to be a fit for the right kind of person. I want the person who's like, I want to be part of this incredible sisterhood that we're honoring the goddesses and supporting each other and tapping into our most spiritual and beautiful and highest selves. Like, that sounds like an alignment for me. I want those people to be in. This is not a networking thing that you come in and out. Like when you're trying to, sell a couple people on your coaching program, you come and you leave your webinar link and you leave. That's not this. Once the doors close, they will be closed, and we're going to be building the community and the relationships amongst the people in that community. Because again, the whole point of this is for people to get to know each other and empower each other. And guys, it's open to people around the world. So if you're in another country, you are still 100% welcome to join. All the conversations, discussions, webinars, everything's going to be taking place online. The live events are just an additional add-on that I'll be doing in any city that I travel to. I will be doing a live event. So already we have planned LA, New York, and Miami just in October. We'll be going to San Francisco, Chicago, probably Toronto, Vancouver, keeping the train moving. Definitely going to do a Europe trip next year. So being part of this community is something so much bigger than just yourself, than just the goddesses, but it's tapping into this network of women who are the exact kind of women that you want to know, whether it's for your business, for your life, for everything. So just opening doors for the all-in people, for the people who know that this is right for them. And if not, that's totally fine. And maybe you'll just enjoy being part of the challenge. Maybe if I'm opening doors again next year in 2020, I don't know if I will be. I'll see how I feel. Then I'll be doing another launch again in 2020. So there may be an opportunity to join, but it will be at a higher rate if that does happen. So if you're hearing this before we close doors, if it's still September, go to rosegoldgoddesses.com. If it's after, go there anyways. I'll probably have a wait list or something happening if I open doors again, if this type of work resonates with you and you're really calling in to be part of a community. And also, guys, I made this affordable. Like, you'll see on there, if you sign up for the annual membership, it's $19.99 a month, like $19. And I purposely made it this way because I'm sick of the coaching industry charging so much money for things and only keeping it available for the elite. That's something that doesn't resonate with me. I'm not the coach for the top 1%. I am the sister here that's for everyone. So I wanted this to be basically a no-brainer. If it resonates with you, it's a cost of a meal out. I think average around the country is a $20 meal if you go to a restaurant. So if you can afford one meal out, you can afford being part of Rose Gold Goddesses and be part of the webinars, the community. I'm going to be doing guided meditations in there, off-the-cuff interview, expert calls, the entire Rose Gold Goddess framework. I mean, just the community alone is worth so much more than that. I know people who are doing stuff similar to this, but they don't know about the goddesses. It's in no way what this is, charging $200 plus a month. So I wanted this to be super affordable. So anyone who's thinking about joining and money is the problem in their mind, that is not an issue. So people think I'm crazy for making it this low, especially because it really has been a lot of work and a labor of love to put this together. And really the costs cover the cost that I have of web design and app creation and all of the things that go into it. But for me, this is a movement. And my soul is nourished when I am part of something that is larger than me. And that's something that I've always known this entire lifetime, that I'm here to spark a movement. And I believe that this community is going to heal the world. I don't know what's going to come from it. Maybe we're going to start our own nonprofit organization. Maybe we're just going to start our own island. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I know it's going to change the world. So if you're feeling the call, listen. And if not, also listen. I look forward to meeting you, connecting with you, and having you be part of the incredible Rose Gold Goddess Challenge as well. So head over to rosegoldgoddesses.com to be part of all of this magic, and I'll see you there. Namaste.